Ready to answer more questions?
It just all depends on whether they're going to be like the last ones.
Like the lovey-dovey ones?
Is any of them in there?
Only a few. A little tiny amount. Can you survive?
Well, I guess.
So we've been doing these ongoing Q&As. If you missed any of them, I'll put a link in the description below so you could go back and go through them if you'd like to. Of course, if you have any other questions, you can leave them on the comment section of this video. We've got somebody back here wanting to be part of the video. She's got a lot to say, apparently. The very first question is, does it have a negative effect on your YouTube channel if we click not interested? It does. And the reason is because YouTube's algorithm and the little bots, they're just trying to see, like, you like all these videos, do you like this one? And if you say, not really, that's not what I'm interested in, it's likely that they're not going to show you any of our videos again. They'll show you somebody else's videos. So if you don't even know we've published a new video, you wouldn't even have the opportunity to click on it. So yes, that would definitely hurt us. Just like, you know, the YouTube, since we've been doing this, they took away the numbers of the likes. If you give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down, you can't really see the thumbs down. We can see it, but you can't see that. But even that helps. Even that, any kind of engagement helps your YouTube channel rise up to the top of what people on your home page, what's suggested to you, or even if you're watching a video, what's suggested to you over on the side. So if you say I'm not interested, then yeah, you probably wouldn't see our videos anymore, so that definitely would hurt us.
Do we get thumbs down?
We do get thumbs down.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Not a whole lot. Not a whole lot. We're very blessed. We have really wonderful subscribers.
I had forgot about that being changed and forgot about it once being that way. Completely forgotten it. And then since you said that, I wonder how many thumbs down do we get?
We don't. Our rate is very low, so we're very lucky. That's a nice thing. So we're really glad.
I've never done that. A thumbs down.
Oh no, I've not either to nobody. Even
if I don't want to watch it, I turn it off.
Right, just go to something else. Yeah, that's how I am too. If I click on something and think this is something I'm interested in, or if I'm trying to learn something and then I'm like, oh, this ain't exactly what I was looking for, I just go to something else. I don't say thumbs down to you or leave a bad comment or something.
You're horrible.
Yeah. There's a gentleman that Matt was watching a video of that just is making like a comedic thing about that, so that what people would say to you, you know. It's just funny from the point of view of a creator, or like Matt said, like somebody that would say, like, you're making cornbread, well, you're horrible, you're terrible, how do you
you don't know how to do it, and this is how you should be doing it.
Anyway,
it's funny.
It is funny, really funny. So to go right along with that about subscribing, does it help if you subscribe? It really does, for those same reasons, and it doesn't cost you anything. And Paul told me this. He thought before he retired that if he subscribed to a channel that YouTube would like send him a lot of emails about it, and it wasn't that he wasn't interested, but he was just so busy before he retired. He's like, I don't have time for that, and I already get 300 emails a day. I don't need, you know, that. But then he found out after he retired, he thought, okay, well now I don't have to worry about my job anymore. I could support people by subscribing to them. And then he realized, no, YouTube doesn't tell me that they don't send me an email. Now you can click the little bell, which will notify you if we have a new video. You can do that, but if you don't click that bell, they're not going to tell you anything. So if you subscribe to us, that does really help us. We don't get paid anymore or anything like that, but it just shows YouTube, hey, this is a valuable channel. Look how many subscribers they have, and then that helps them spread our videos to a wider audience. And interestingly, which I think this is kind of normal for all channels, when we look at our statistics, our analytics, about 48% of the people that watch our videos are not subscribed. We're really glad that they watch, and we're so thankful for that. But if all those 48% subscribed, we're getting close to 300,000. We would definitely be over that.
Oh, yeah.
So if you've never subscribed, it's totally free. It doesn't cost anything, and you can just click on it. And if you want to click the bell, you can, but you don't have to. You don't have to do that. So that was another question. And then to go right along with that is that there's a little membership thing. Do you want to, does that help us? So I'll link in the description below to a video where guess it was back in the summer where I talked about this. So YouTube wants us to have memberships, but from the very beginning, Matt and I said we can barely do what we're doing. We can't do like a whole nother section for members or something. We just can't do that. But people kept asking us, well, how could I support you? How could I just give you something each month? And then and I was like, I don't know. But then right at that same time, YouTube said, hey, if you will open up, turn on, really, you just turned it on, turn on your membership, we'll give you a big bonus. That's what I talked about in that video. And we'll give you, you know, just give it to you. You don't have to do anything. We'll just give you this bonus. So in that video, I explained that basically that's why we did it. We turned it on so that we could get that bonus. And in the video, I say, you don't need to be a member. You're not going to miss out on anything. You're not going to miss out on anything else. And even in the video, I said the only thing we could ever do, got something falling on my head over here, the only thing we could ever do would be, the most we could do would be like if, at this point in our lives, it would be if we had a live just for members. But then I have a live every Monday, and me and Matt try to do lives. You need to come to my Monday one day.
Okay.
Yeah, but we try to do them sometimes of the evening. It's harder to do it of the evening. But anyway, so even that you wouldn't be missing out on. And I think since we started that membership thing, I think I've done 2 lives for the members, which is not much considering I do one every Monday. Anyway, so that's the questions about the memberships and the subscribing and the negative stuff too. Yeah. So right along with that, the next one was, where did Blind Pig and the Acorn come from? That's the name of our blog and the name of the YouTube channel, other YouTube channel that we have. Paul really manages it now. But way back when I wanted to start the blog, I wanted it to be something meaningful, something really, you know, make a lot of sense to me. So I had everybody asking everybody what they, you know, what could I name it, what could it be? I wanted it to be unique, but attention grabbing and all that. And Matt's mother, Miss Cindy, she had a friend at that time, Larry. He's since passed away. And she said, you know, Larry knows something about everything. Why don't I just ask him and he could come up with a list of names? I said, okay. So she sent me this whole big list of stuff that he'd come up with, and Blind Pig and the Acorn was one of them. And I said, no, I really like that, but what does it mean? What does it stand for? So she said, well, it's the old saying, even a blind pig can find an acorn every once in a while. And so I went to Matt and said, Matt, have you ever heard this old saying? And Matt's like, I've heard that my whole life. And I said, well, I've not. I'm going to have to go ask my daddy. So I went and asked Pap. He said, no, I've not heard it either, but it's the same thing as a broke clock is right twice a day, you know. Anyway, that's how the name come to be. So I loved it, and it was perfect, and I'm really thankful to Cindy and Larry for thinking of it. I couldn't imagine it being anything else, of course, all these 17 years later. Can you believe that?
It's been that long?
17 years I've been blogging.
Golly.
Yep.
Most blogs don't last but what?
Not that long,
I
for
mean,
sure.
they're just 2, 3, 4 years and they're done.
Yeah, a lot of times.
You've got a lot to say.
I got a lot to say. I'm still saying it, right? Are we going to have any cookbook signings? I don't have any planned. I would love to have a cookbook signing. If you get somebody to invite me to come and they really want us to come, we'd be glad to. Me and Matt would go. We went to the Ramsey house was the last one, or was the Alexander's the last one? Can't remember. I think Alexander's was the last one.
I can't remember.
Anyway, but we would love to do that, but we don't have any right now. Does Matt feel like the thumbnail should have his photo too, since he does more now? I think they were talking about not just the thumbnail, because he's in a lot of the thumbnails, but the little avatar, like the little circle of my face. So do you feel like you should be in that?
No.
Truthfully, that's something we had not even, until I read that question, I hadn't even, that's the same little picture I put up when we first started back in 2020, and I hadn't even thought about it.
I had never thought about it either, but I don't have an opinion one way or the other. I don't care at all that I'm not, and you do the majority of all this anyway. As far as the behind the scenes work of all this stuff's mostly you, and you do all the editing and all that stuff, and I don't know how to do none of it. So yeah, I'm perfectly fine with that.
I have never even thought about it. Maybe we could try to squeeze our Squeeze our little faces.
Well, you don't want to
Into
repel
it.
people, you know. With
It's
me,
so tiny. Of course, for the big banner, we just have the mountains. Mountains. I took that picture of the mountains on the chairlift at Maggie Valley when I just knew I was going to die before I got off of it. Scared me to death. I'm afraid of heights. Who babysits more? Thinking about the grandbabies. I think it's probably about even.
Yeah, it's just about
even, 50-50, yeah. Everybody takes their turn.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody wants to, as far as me and Matt. And all of us, Katie's crazy about keeping Woodrow, and Corey's crazy about keeping Ira, and Austin's crazy about keeping Ira. So it's all equal, I think.
Yeah.
But we all are enjoying that
We all
part.
just jump in where we're needed.
Yeah. How big is the cornfield, the big garden we call it, Paps, where we grew corn last year and we hope to grow it this year? We're planning on it.
It's probably, I don't know, maybe a quarter acre, something like that maybe. I mean, it's not very big, but it's, in respect to how much corn it'll produce for us, it'll produce more than we can eat in a year's time if we really go at it hard and try to grow, a bunch and put it up. Problem is once it starts coming in, we eat it just as hard as we can go, and then with what's left, ain't enough to put up to last till next year.
This year we said we was going to stagger it. I don't know if we'll do that, but we should at least 1 week or 2 weeks.
Yeah, we might.
Farmer Tim does his 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And then who owns it? Somebody asked who owned it. So that piece of, there's, me and Matt own only an acre's all we have. And then there's the land that was my brother's and my other brother's. And then there was Pap and Granny's, kind of their stuff. And that is actually part of what was Pap and Granny's. And even before Pap died, before he got real sick, he went ahead and put his whole property in mine and Steve and Paul's name. So we own that together, the three of us. But when Pap died and we were no longer going to use it for a big garden that first year, then my brother Steve, that's when he was still living where Corey and Austin do, he said he would love to have an orchard there. Well, it's right in front of his house, so we said, sure, go ahead. Nobody was upset about that. So, but then once he was moved, I said, I want that back for corn. Me and Matt, we want corn back in it. Mm-hmm. So actually me and Paul and Steve own that together. Can you hunt deer with dogs in North Carolina? Is that legal?
It's not here. I think maybe eastern part of the state, there might be places or counties that do, and I think there is, but I'm not really up on that since I don't do it. But I know
That was a big tree.
That was a monster tree.
That was a huge tree that just fell. Well, it was cut down. I shouldn't say it just fell. Somebody cut it down. That was a big tree.
Oh, was that what it was?
Yeah, I heard the chainsaw first. So.
I did too, but I thought it was down in yonder.
Sounded like it was beyond Granny's house. That was a giant tree. Okay, sorry. We're getting off track. So you don't know about, because you don't hunt. Matt doesn't do that. So.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, I'm not against it at all and don't care a bit, but it's just not my thing and never done it. But I know right here, in this entire region of our state here where we live, it's not legal.
And what about in the state of Georgia was the other question.
I think the same thing. Further south down in Georgia, I think you can. I don't know exactly what counties or how many. I think you can down there, but up in the part that I hunt in, which is the Piedmont, it's not legal there.
So do you or Austin, when you hunt in Georgia, do you hunt WMA land?
No. I have a couple of times way back yonder. I've not in recent times, and Daddy, I think, for a little while we hunted some of that, but we don't now, and I don't think Austin does either. I think they've got leased land. And then what I hunt in Georgia is just a really small parcel of land that's owned by a private individual, and we lease the hunting rights to his piece of land in return for the tax base on his land. So what he gets from us to lease it pays the tax on the land. So that's how that works.
Do you and Austin ever hunt together in Georgia or here?
Not in Georgia. We don't, and we haven't. I mean, they've tried to get me to go and hunt their place several times, and it's just not worked out time-wise to where we can, because I'm usually hunting where I hunt or hunting here. But we do hunt some together here, especially during bow season, because bow season here is so long. And now that he lives right here and goes out the same, almost the same back door I do, we hunt the same woods here.
What is the history of Wilson Holler here where we live? This is my father's home place where his, so let me get this straight. The first people who lived here would have been my great-grandfather and grandmother, Benjamin and Carrie. And then their son, Wade, which was my papa, and I've confused people by saying that. I say Papa Wade. Wade was his first name. He was a Wilson. So it was all Wilsons that lived here. Anyway, Papa Wade and his wife Marie, that was Pap's parents, so they were Wilsons. Then they had a house here after Benjamin died, and his wife Carrie, they died, and then they stayed here. There was other family members too that lived in other areas, but they were the ones that stayed right here in this little area in this holler. And the land actually was purchased by my Uncle Frank, it would have been Marie's brother. When he was off at war, he would send his money back home, and they saved it, and then he wanted to buy the land, and he bought it, and he owned a lot of it. He just gave them part of it, and then he owned more. Now part of what he owned then, all of what he owned then, is part of a giant cattle ranch. When he died, I wish someone in our family could have afforded to buy it, but we couldn't. But luckily for us, the cattle ranch farm, they just included it into theirs, so they took it, so that was good. It wasn't developed or anything like that. Anyway, they absorbed it into what they already had, which is like 2,000 acres, I think, so big farm. Anyway, so then Papa and Mama had 4 children, Papa Wade and Marie, they had 4 children, and then of course they split their land between them. And so then the other question was, well, how many people live here today? How many houses? I think me and Matt counted it up throughout the whole holler. We're kind of all the way at one end of it, and then it's further other way. And I mean, it's like a holler, so there's different little.
It's got forks in it.
Yeah, it's got forks in it. But we counted 10 houses when we were counting them in it. We had to count them up and think about it. 10 houses. Now, when I was a girl, like my first memories of moving into Pap and Granny's house, there was only Pap and Granny's house. There was Mama and Papa's house. It's no longer there now. It's gone. And then there was, I think Ray's trailer was there now, so I might even be wrong about that. Either there was a trailer there right then, or it was very soon after that there was a trailer. Anyway, and then over the years, other houses were built, and like Pap's children, me and Steve and Paul all have our houses here. So as people's children grew up, and that's how there got to be more houses. And the other question was, is it all family? It is all family. It is all connected to the Wilsons. There is one little place now, the little trailer, which is a different trailer, but it is, they're not Wilsons, but they are family, so it's still family. So, and this is fairly similar, or fairly common in the mountains of Appalachia, where families stay close together, where it'll be a holler full of family. I think about just down the road, the Cooks, 2 different sections of the Cooks, really. But anyway, it's fairly common like that if the parents or the grandparents or whoever had the land, and then they were, of course, more than willing to share it with their offspring, and then they built their houses, and then maybe their offspring built their houses too. So our last Q&A that kind of embarrassed Matt, and we were just teasing about it, he didn't really embarrass him, was all the lovey-dovey stuff. So there was some more questions about that after that one. And the first one was, what was our first date? What was our first date?
I guess we went riding around in the vehicle with the people that introduced us, and just rode out across the parkway and just kind of talked to one another. I think would have been our first date, would it not? Yeah,
that was it. And then the other part was, how did we meet? Was a blind date. My cousin and her husband, of course she knew me, and then her husband knew Matt, and they fixed us up. And that was our first date. Yeah, we rode up on the parkway, rode around, talked. What is wrong with Matt's pinky? we talked about this in another video, but of course people don't watch all the videos, and then we get new viewers, which we're always grateful for. So you can, yeah, that's Matt's pinky. So some people think, well, he got injured, it got broke, or what happened to it, but it was...
No, I was born with it.
Yeah.
There's a term for it. I can't remember what it was or what it is. When I was little, they took me to the doctor to see if they could straighten it, and the doctor said, yeah, he could, but it would be better to wait until he's grown, and they could have fixed it. And by the time I got grown, I didn't want to go, so I've just always had it. And it's not really that much of a detriment. It don't hurt. Don't bother me. I don't even know it's there most of the time.
Several people in your family, in the Presley, the men, had that.
Yeah.
Had variations of it.
My grandpa had it, and I've got a couple of uncles that had it, and a couple of cousins that's got it. So.
Had Matt ever been to Brasstown before he met me? Had you ever been to Brasstown?
Never even heard of this place.
Had you been to Murphy?
No.
No, hadn't even been.
Never been past Cherokee, I don't guess.
You're way out west now.
Out here in the sticks.
It is funny, we joke about in our area, we say that the state, talking about the state of North Carolina, thinks that it ends at Asheville, like they don't realize there's 2 more hours of travel beyond Asheville to the west.
That's how they,
how
that's
they
where the
govern.
money stops, is in Asheville. I can tell you that as far as, how the government side of it works. But anyway.
So you had never been here?
No.
Was it hard for you to relocate and leave where you'd been your whole life? Even though it was just 2 hours, you did have to leave everything?
No, not really. Of course, I knew, before I moved, or before I was really going to move, I had been here and realized, back of where this house is now, it wasn't here then, but there was such a big expanse of woods that nobody lived in, and I had access to that. That was kind of a draw. Go out the back door and spend all day in the woods. A big part of it didn't belong to us, but there was a pretty good sized part of it that we had access to, and that was a big draw for me too.
And I think you liked it because it is a much less populated. It's more populated now, of course, than it was when me and Matt was first married. But even now, it's not as populated as where Matt come from.
Yeah, it was less busy, more laid back, kind of here where the house is and where her mama's house is back far enough to where it's it's kind of like going back in time. Back going to my grandpa's and grandma's house and great grandpa's house back in the day, just out in the country, and I like that.
Very nice. We're blessed.
Mm-hmm.
What is our faith? What do we believe in? We are of the Baptist faith. We are of the Baptist faith. And then when did we become Christians? So I was saved when I was about 6 years old. The old Martins Creek Church is no longer there, but that's where I was saved. And then Matt was not saved until we dated.
Yeah, I was like, what was I,
22, 23,
23,
something like that.
4, somewhere in there.
Something like that. This is the one that, or I'll ask this one first. Are we going to go on a honeymoon? Do we plan to go on one since we didn't have much of one when we got married? We've never thought about it.
Every day with you is a honeymoon.
Oh, how sweet. You're so sweet. That was the right answer. Especially for this one.
I get points for that.
For this next one. Well, actually, I'm going to save that next one. This one just made me smile. Do we ever dance together? I asked Matt that, and I said, do you want to dance? He said no. But we did dance when we were young, and we were courting. We did dance some then, but we don't now. No. We should do that though, just to drive our children crazy in Austin. Like just have a
should make them
have a romantic song come on and just start waltzing.
We should make them video us. We'll tell them we're doing it for a video for YouTube, and make them have to watch us because they got videos. That would be funny.
That would be funny.
That'd be awesome.
Okay, this is the one I said that he was nice that him say something so sweet, because this was one. Do we ever argue?
When do we not argue? That's all we do. I can't believe that we went this long doing this video.
That's not true, but the other's not true either. We do argue just like anybody else. We argue and fight and get mad at each other and get puffed up and get our whatever. I get my feathers in a ruffle and
Yeah, get your hackles up.
yeah, I get my hackles up. Matt does too. And
You can always tell when she's mad. You get
Matt calls it the side eye.
the side eye and the silent treatment. She'll just walk by and kind of side eye you and keep right on going, even if you're speaking to her. It's almost like 4th, 5th grade. It's kind of kind of how I equate it.
Yeah.
So I know then that I have done something that she didn't like, and it takes her a little while to come around before I can even figure out what it was.
Matt calls it the side eye.
Mm-hmm.
If I am mad, I'm not one to say a bunch of stuff. I'm just, like Matt said, I go silent.
Mm-hmm.
Don't say anything.
Yeah.
Matt, on the other hand, might pitch a little fit
You think so?
and say some stuff. And then
Think so?
have to calm down, then go outside, then calm down, then come back.
Come back and apologize and come back groveling.
And that's the second part of it. If we do fight, then who makes up first? I would say both equally over the years. Equally.
Yeah, I guess.
And sometimes we just ignore it and then go back to acting like nothing happened.
Yeah.
That's probably mostly what we do.
That's
It's like
really-
after a day or so, just like, well, who cares? Just
That's really good for a relationship. If anybody young people's watching this,
hey, it's better than, I think it's pretty good. Better sometimes to just not focus on it.
yeah, the more you talk, the worse it gets.
Worse it gets. And then you start saying stuff, well, actually, let
Yeah.
me tell you, and
Yeah.
let me, you know what you did 4 years ago?
Yeah.
You know, that kind of stuff. So, anyway, but yes, we definitely do argue just like other people do.
But not much.
No. Matt was joking when he said, when do we not? Yeah, he was joking about that. We don't argue much. Did we ever go back to, like we said, when we got it debt free, the first step of that was we got rid of our satellite TV. Did we ever go back to that? Did we ever go back after we got out of debt and say, well, we're going to get the TV back?
No.
We didn't.
Nope.
So what do we have? You can
We have
explain that.
just Roku, and it's just the free version of it. I mean, there's once you get on there, you can subscribe and buy other channels and stuff, but we don't. There's so much stuff on that thing
Can't
on the
never
free
watch
side
it
of
all.
it. You couldn't watch it all. We ain't got time to watch that
No,
much
we
TV.
don't watch TV that much anyway, but
Back when we first got rid of the TV, what hurt my feelings the worst was I was a race fan, and I loved to watch NASCAR races. And that was the hardest thing in the world for me because I'd watched that stuff for 30 years and kept up with it and just enjoyed it. And once I got rid of it, I wasn't able to watch it anymore. But now I don't. I mean, I've been away from it, whatever it is now.
long enough.
4 or 5 years.
Yeah, to not.
And it's just not that big a deal now. I mean, I've got just focused that interest somewhere else, in other words.
And we watch a lot of YouTube,
Yeah.
and we watch all those old westerns and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
When, like Matt said, we don't watch a lot, but that's what's usually on. Like before we come out here, Rawhide was on.
Yeah.
Now I've got the song in my head.
Yeah.
But we never did go back to the TV.
You always, what I thought was, in order to get, I mean, you're paying quite a bit of money per month. In order to get what you want, you have to get a whole lot of stuff you don't want. And that just always irritated me. And it was, once we got rid of it,
Then
it kind of
you-
hurt for a little while. And that feels pretty good to not be caught up in that, in other words.
Yeah. Does Matt wish he had a son?
In the beginning, before our girls were born, I was hoping for one. And we never did know for sure what Katie was till the day she was born. Just the way she was turned, you couldn't tell what she was. And I kind of thinking maybe it's a boy and we'll have boy-girl twins. But it didn't turn out that way. But once the girls were here, I mean, I never gave that another thought. I mean, I would never go back and trade that, trade what we've got now for just to have a son. And now having the 2 grandboys is kind of like having a son. So
Yeah. You just had to wait a while to
just
get them.
had to wait a whole long time to get them, but that's good.
When, like Matt said, we couldn't tell that Katie was a boy, I mean a girl or a boy, we couldn't tell. Corey from the very beginning, when they could tell. In those days they didn't do the blood test, they just looked on, and we had to have a lot of ultrasounds because of all my multitude of problems. So they could always see that Corey was a girl, but they just didn't know about Katie. So I just knew Katie was a boy. I just knew that we were going to have one of each, that she was going to be a boy. And so I was surprised when she was a girl. But then after we come home, I was like mad. I was like, why did I want some old boy when I could have Katie? You know, gosh, I just loved her so much. So anyway.
Yeah, wouldn't trade how that happened at all.
No, not at all. Not at all. And then I'll ask one more today, and then we'll quit for today. There are others, though, coming, more questions coming. But do we have any regrets that we would go back and change when we look back over our lives? I think, no, overall, no. I mean, there's always something like, even something like, well, I wish I'd been kinder to that person, or something trivial like at work. I should have really just stood up and took charge and, moved up the ladder or something. I don't know. Or even like the debt free. Why didn't we get out of debt sooner? But overall, there's nothing really that I would change,
Yeah, I wouldn't either.
I mean, I'm pretty happy with my lot in life, and not pretty happy, I am. I'm just so happy and pleased and blessed. God's blessed us abundantly over.
Right. And
so.
I mean, I would say the same thing about getting debt free sooner. But then, things may not have worked out exactly as they did, and exactly as they did is just right, as far as I'm concerned.
Just right.
So everything worked out good, and we're in a real good place, and enjoy each other, and enjoy the what we have here. So I wouldn't want to change anything that might alter that.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I mean, there's all kind. You can always think of little small things, or maybe even big things. Like, why didn't I start a YouTube channel earlier, or whatever. But then I wouldn't. Then I look back and think how precious our life is now, and how pleased we are with it. Well, if it took all that to get here, then that's fine.
Right.
That was just how it was all supposed to work out. So no. What do they call it? Regrets or something? Something the youngsters say.
Yeah, whippersnappers.
Yeah. Yeah, no regrets though. No regrets for us. Well, we really do appreciate you listening to more of our answers. We thank you for everyone that asked the questions, and we'll continue to try to peck away at them and answer some more. We're always glad when you stop by to help us celebrate Appalachia.